Now is when we're going to explore the fuming process more deeply. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fume the cone with 999 pure silver. This is silver bullion. Got it off of eBay. I chose silver for its outstanding ability to conduct electricity. All the solders in your electronic gizmos, iPods, laptops, TVs, cell phones, all use silver solder. Okay? So understand that what we're going to do is we're going to create like a shroud around this cone, connecting the 3 disco sparkle conductors. Here's what it looks like after the fuming. I don't know if you can see the kind of yellow tint on there. That's the silver. The pure silver will adhere to the cone as the glass cools, creating our shroud and then connecting our 3 connectors. Next, we're going to draw air trap lines. What I've done here is I've taken a tube. Can you see that tube? That I pulled out into a thin line, and I drew a set of 3 lines in between the 3 lines of disco sparkle with that tube. And what that'll do is that'll trap a spine of air, a line of air behind the silver shroud. This is going to accomplish 2 things. One, it will increase the surface area of the silver shroud, and B, it'll act like a spine on a screw shaft. If you look down the line of sight, the glass rod here, alright, the valleys that these spines create, trying to figure out a way to explain it so that you understand it. The valleys will represent where the screw actually, think of it like a screw going into a piece of wood, where the screw grips onto the wood and pulls the shaft of the screw down into the wood. That's kind of what these little air spines are going to be like. Do you follow me? Now that the air trap spines have been dissolved into the silver shroud, and most of the air is more like a series of dots, of bubbles, than an actual line, but it's still going to serve the same effect. We now need to insulate the silver shroud. We're going to do that by backing the cone with this cobalt blue disco sparkle that I mixed together during the show prep. That's right, I thought ahead this time. And also you need to remember that it's important to apply the insulation in the same direction that you will be twisting when we create the vortex here in a couple steps. It's also important for you to understand, as we start applying these filler rings of clear, that the insulating cobalt blue backing and the subsequent filler reinforcing support rings run in opposition to the cone. Think of it this way, like wood, like remember we were talking about the screw. Think of this as like wood grain, and down the line of sight, the wood grain is running this way. The filler rings in the insulation, the wood grain is running in circles in a 90-degree angle to the wood grain down the line of sight. You understand? Does that make it easier for you to understand how energy can be flowing down the line of sight and then be funneled by the vortex, by the conductors and the silver shroud, funneling down into the vortex? At this point, we've applied multiple clear filler rings and 2 rings on the surface, one of black ivory, which is black mixed with silver mixed in it, and then a ring of white. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rake the rings, midnight, 6, 3, and 9, north, south, east, west, however you want to look at it. From the 4 opposing ports, I'm going to rake them towards the middle, towards the pointy point of our cone. I'm going to relax, work it all in, relax those stresses until the whole thing is stress-free and nice, a big molten glob. And then I will twist it in the same direction that I applied my shroud, my insulation to my shroud, the Disco Sparkle and Cobalt Blue. And then I will terminate both the backing rake and, see, I still have the tip of my cone exposed at the bottom of this, to where the termination point from the inside cone and the outside rake will be the exact same point. Alright, the backing design is complete. The back is rough shaped, it's roundish, eggish kind of. Alright, we're going to go ahead and move on to the retaining ring. This is really nothing more than a belt. It's going to be around the seam between the lens and the rim of the vortex where it meets the backing rings, the black ivory ring. All I'm going to do is just put a series of dots. We'll use onyx black, we'll use a little bit more black ivory. I don't know what we'll explore some colors. And then I'll cap them with clear and kind of base head them a little bit. And then I'll peacock or pinwheel them, spinning them, interlocking each dot with each other around the circumference of the marble, and this will lock everything all together. Here's all the dots for the retaining ring. I've laid down just black onyx and then some type of luster there, that kind of tan looking, which is, it's just glass that has silver mixed in it. And then a little bit of the Cobalt Blue Disco Sparkle. And then just out of the blue, it occurred to me I don't know if you can see it, but I put little itty bitty divots and then capped it with clear, trapping little tiny air bubbles in each one of the little segments of the belt, the retaining ring that will bind all this together. I'm going to go ahead and work these all in and do the peacocking, the pinwheeling, and show you what it looks like when it's the retaining ring is finished. Here's what it looks like with the locking ring completed, twisted, interlocking. Now I'm going to go ahead and punny up to the bottom, remove the line of sight rod, and start shaping it. I'll show you what it looks like before I put it in the kiln.